They left me in an empty house with an eviction notice. Now they beg to share my wealth. When I was 18, my father and stepmother did the unthinkable. I came home from a late shift at the local hardware store, only to find our entire house completely cleaned out. Every piece of furniture gone. The closets stripped bare. The only thing remaining was a single cardboard box on the kitchen floor, containing my clothes and a handwritten note taped to the top. It read, "We are starting over in Arizona. Time to grow up, Caleb. You will figure it out." They didn't leave a forwarding address. They didn't leave a phone number. They just packed up the moving truck while I was earning minimum wage and vanished into thin air. To make matters worse, the landlord showed up the very next morning. My parents had broken the lease, pocketed the security deposit, and left me with exactly 48 hours to vacate the property. I had no savings, no vehicle, and zero safety net. The first 3 months, I lived out of a broken-down sedan that a local mechanic named Marcus let me sleep in, right behind his garage. I survived on dollar menu burgers, washed my face in gas station sinks, and spent every spare second learning how to fix diesel engines from old, grease-stained manuals. Marcus was a gruff man, a guy who didn't talk much, but he gave me a shot when nobody else would. He paid me in cash under the table, taught me how to rebuild transmissions, and eventually helped me buy my first real set of tools. I worked 90 hours a week. I sacrificed sleep, comfort, and any semblance of a social life. By 24, I bought out Marcus's shop when he retired. By 28, I expanded that single garage into a regional logistics and fleet maintenance empire, spanning across 5 states. The first time I saw my company's bank account cross into 7 figures, I didn't celebrate. I didn't buy a flashy sports car. I just sat at my desk, stared at the numbers, and wept. I cried for the 18-year-old kid who used to shiver in the back of a frozen sedan, wondering what he had done to deserve being thrown away like garbage. For 10 long years, my biological family was completely dead to me. But then, a national business magazine ran a profile piece on my company's rapid growth. My face was on the cover of the regional edition. Less than 72 hours after that magazine hit the shelves, my office phone rang. My secretary told me it was a personal call, an older man claiming it was an absolute emergency. I picked up the receiver and a voice I hadn't heard in a decade filled my ears. "Caleb, son, is that really you?" It was my father. His voice sounded older, slightly raspy, but I recognized that cold, familiar cadence instantly. He didn't apologize. He didn't ask how I survived after he left me stranded in an empty house. Instead, he launched into a sob story. He claimed they had fallen on incredibly hard times. He said my stepbrother, Tyler, had made some terrible business investments, and they were facing foreclosure on their home in Phoenix. "We are family, Caleb," he pleaded, his voice cracking with a forced, dramatic tremble. "Family is supposed to support each other when things get tough. We saw the article. We are just so proud of you, son." I sat in my leather executive chair, listening to him use the word family, a word he had weaponized and abandoned 10 years ago. I kept my voice entirely calm, entirely clinical. I said, "It has been 10 years, Dad. Why now?" There was a long, heavy pause on the line. Then he mumbled, "Well, we didn't know where you were, Caleb. We tried looking for you." It was a blatant, shameless lie. I had been operating under my own name, in the exact same tri-state area, for a decade. They never looked. They only cared to find me once my name was attached to millions of dollars. 2 days later, my stepmother emailed me. She attached old photos of me as a little boy, riding a bicycle, smiling at a birthday party. Below the images, she wrote, "We all make mistakes when stress gets the best of us, Caleb. Please, don't let pride ruin this chance for us to be a family again. We need $50,000 by the end of the month, or we lose everything." There it was, the real motive, wrapped up in a toxic bow of artificial nostalgia. I brought the emails to my attorney and, more importantly, to my therapist. My therapist reminded me of a vital truth. Abusers do not change. They simply change their tactics when you become valuable to them. I decided to grant my father a single, in-person meeting. Not because I wanted to reconcile, but because I wanted to look him in the eyes as an adult, completely free of the fear he used to instill in me. We met at a quiet diner on the outskirts of the city. He arrived looking worn out, wearing a faded polo shirt. He immediately reached across the booth to hug me, but I extended,